Friends, welcome to our today's session. So far, we have already understood what is capital gain, what is long-term capital gain, what is short-term capital gain. That concept we have understood. Before understanding this thing, also we know what is long-term capital asset, what is short-term capital asset. All these things we had discussed in our earlier classes. And in the previous session, so we are learning about the year of chargeability. Today, what we'll do, we'll quickly recapitulate those concepts. That is the concept of year of chargeability. In which year, in some specific situation, capital gain will be chargeable to tax. That will be discussed. Then we'll move to one more concept, that is how capital gain will be chargeable in case of a company is liquidated. When company is liquidated or company is closed, when the assets are distributed or money is distributed, how capital gain will be charged in that kind of situation. Then we'll move to one more concept, that is buyback of shares. You might have heard of this concept, buyback of shares. That the normally shares are issued by the company to the investors, but sometimes the company may buy back those shares from the investors or from the shareholders. That concept. In that case, how capital gain will be treated. All these concepts we are going to learn today. I'm going to share the screen with you right now. So for this thing, friends, we have to learn two sections, section 46 and 46A. But prior to that, let me what we have, recapitulate that concept of year of chargeability. Yeah, in its last session, we are discussing about the year of chargeability. We know normally in case of a transfer of a capital asset. So in the previous year, when transfer takes place, that is the year of chargeability. But in case of insurance receipts, so we have discussed the previous year in which asset was received or when the money was received. Sometimes insurance company provides assets, sometimes insurance company gives money. When they are received in that year, that will be chargeable to tax. In case of transfer of beneficial interest in securities, the previous year in which transfer takes place, that is the year of chargeability. When the capital asset is converted into stock in trade, the previous year in which the stock in trade is sold or otherwise it is transferred, that is the year which is the year of chargeability. So not the year of transfer, when the year of stock in trade is sold. Okay. Or let us say stock in trade is transferred to someone. In that year it is transferred. Then when the capital asset is brought as a capital contribution, in case of a farm or AOP, when the members or the partners bring capital asset as capital contribution, then year of chargeability is the previous year in which such transfer takes place. Then when the capital assets are distributed in the event of dissolution of a farm or AOP or PY, when the farm is closed and the assets are distributed, then the previous year when transfer takes place, that is the year of chargeability. In case of compulsory acquisition, the year in which the compensation is received, that is the year of chargeability. And in case of individual HUF who enters into a specified agreement for development of a project, in that case, the year of chargeability is the year in which the certificate of completion is received. Either it is whole completion or part completion. When the certificate of completion is received from the competent authority, that is the year of chargeability. All these concepts were discussed in our previous session. And also you have seen how to deal with enhanced compensation. All these concepts are important. And these concepts may be used in tax planning. By using some of the concept, we can defer the payment of tax. So this is what we have discussed in the previous class. Today we'll be learning these sections, that the capital gain and distribution of the assets by the company in liquidation. When I say company is being liquidated, company is a liquidation. What I exactly mean, the company is in the process of winding up, the company is getting closed. In that situation, what will happen? The assets of the company are to be distributed to the shareholders. How to deal with that? For that thing, you see this section 46 we have to learn. So I will take you to the income tax department site right now. Let us see. It's a small section, section 46 and 47A. Today we are going to learn both the sections. So let me take you to income tax department's website. Then we see. Then we'll try to interpret that. Give me a moment for that. I'm taking you. You are seeing the screen. I'm taking you to this website, incometaxindia.gov.in. Okay, is it visible to you? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
I'm taking you to ARCS. Which section I told you I will remember? I'm taking you to the Income Tax Act. Which sections? Let me take you to section 46 first. 46 and 47 both will appear together. You see, section 46 we'll be learning now. You see, section 46, can you read it? It deals with, read it here. Are you ready? It talks about capital gains on distribution of assets by companies in liquidation. In this case, how to deal with in the company's liquidation. If I click here, I can see the entire section. You see, capital gains and distribution of assets by companies in liquidation. So it talks about like this: when the assets of the company are distributed to its shareholders on liquidation, such distribution shall not be regarded as transfer by the company. Okay, so it is not a transfer for the company, but if you come to the subsection 2, it says, but it said you can read it, shall be chargeable to income tax under the head capital gain in respect of money received or the market value of other assets and distribution. Okay, and this will be chargeable in the hands of shareholders. So we'll be learning this concept. This is about section 46. Now I will take you to my slides. Same section 46 what you just now you are saying, same thing has been explained here. Now let us learn this. This particular provision talks about where the assets of the company are distributed to its shareholders on liquidation. Such distribution shall not be regarded as transfer. Okay. It is not a transfer by the company. So consequently, it is not to be taxed under the head capital gain in the hands of the company. Are you getting me? When assets are directly transferred by the company in the event of liquidation, that is not a transfer. Okay, but this particular section has got a restricted application. It is applicable to the circumstances where assets of the company are distributed in specie. That means assets are distributed as such. But let us say company does one thing. Company disposes of those assets. A company is selling that asset and it is getting some capital gain and distributing that money. In that case, that capital gain will be taxable in the hands of the company. But if the company distributes assets as such, that is not the capital gain in the hands of the company. So this is one more tax planning concept we need to learn. How one can avoid tax in the hands of the company. If it distribute assets as such, no tax, no capital gain tax. But if the company sells that asset, there is a possibility that company may get some capital gain that will be taxable in the hands of the company. Company will be liable to pay tax. Did you understand this concept? Yes or no? Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Please keep on responding. Now, so that what I told you, that is in the hands of the company. Company can avoid payment of capital gain tax if it distributes the assets as such. Now, what will happen in the hands of shareholders? Let us see this concept. Now, shareholders may be receiving money or maybe other assets. Two possibilities are there. Okay. So the shareholders will be chargeable to income tax under the head capital gain in respect of market value of the assets received by them the date of distribution or the money received by them. If they have received some money, then that is the consideration they have received. Or if they have not received money, but they have received some assets. In that case, what is the consideration? Consideration is the market value of that assets. So that market value of the assets or the money which is received, that will be considered as the consideration for computation of capital gain. So briefly, I had already told you how to compute capital gain. Full value of consideration minus expenses and transfer, okay, minus cost of acquisition or cost of improvement, or indexed cost of acquisition, indexed cost of improvement. That concept broadly we have understood. Again, we will be learning that concept subsequently. So when the assets are distributed, it is taxable in the hands of shareholders, but it is not taxable in the hands of company if it is distributed as specie. Okay, but one more thing here we have to keep in mind: when assets are distributed to shareholders, or let us say money is distributed to shareholders, the portion of the distribution which is attributable to accumulated profit. Let us understand what is this. Accumulated profit means company has earned profit, it has been accumulated by way of reserve. Okay, to that portion, or so up to that portion, whatever is distributed, that is in fact distribution of profit. So that will be treated as a dividend income for the shareholders. For shareholders, that is a dividend income. Okay, and the excess money, whatever is received, that will be considered for the purpose of computation of capital gain. Okay, so to the extent money is received from accumulated profit, that is the dividend income, and whatever money is received, this dividend income shall be deducted from that amount, and the balance money will be taxable in the hands of the shareholder as uh, as capital gain tax. Did you understand this concept, or I need to explain it again?
Yes,
Let
sir.
me, yeah, let me try to once again explain you with the help of this chart. So capital gain and distribution of assets by the companies. So that is the concept we are learning section 46. Even if in a very small section we have understood. There are two subsections, 46.1 and 46.2. They talks like this. 46.1 talks about distribution is not a transfer. So no capital gain tax. So no capital gain tax on the company. Company will not pay any capital gain tax. Okay. If the company distributes the assets as such. But if the company sells that assets and distribute, then there will be capital gain tax. So this aspect we have understood. Now coming to 46.2, what we talks about, that whatever money is distributed, it is having two components. To the extent it is attributable to the accumulated profit of the company. That means company has earned some profit and kept it accumulated. To that extent, whatever money is distributed to the shareholder, that is treated as dividend income. Okay, dividend income, and that will be taxable under the head income from other sources, because that is the dividend income. That's not capital gain. because this is company's profit which is distributed to shareholders. Okay, but the other part of the money which is received. Okay, how will we find out other part? Then whatever is money received or fair market value of the assets distributed, this amount will find it out minus deemed dividend. Deemed dividend is here. You see, this portion will be deducted because this portion is taxable as income from other sources. So we'll be reducing this portion here. So deemed dividend is added here. Deemed dividend is reduced from. Okay. So after deducting this, we'll get full value of consideration for the purpose of section 48. Then this consideration will be taken for computation of income tax, computation of capital gain tax. So whatever will be taxable here in the hands of shareholder, it will be taxed as capital gain tax. But this part is income from other sources. Hope you have understood this concept, section 46. If you say, then we'll move to the next section, section 47. So, but not for section 47. Section 47 we have already covered. This is about transfers. Transactions which are not recorded at transfer. We'll go to 46A now. But up to this, did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Section 46 you have seen, but simple section, but it is small section. But you have to read minutely to understand the implication of that. Now let me take you to section 46A. First, I'll be showing you what is section 46A. Just a minute. This is section 46. We have already seen. Let me take you to section 46A. Now read it. Section 46A talks about capital gain on purchase by company of its own shares. That means company is purchasing its own shares or some specified securities. So it is not necessarily it will be shares. It might be some specified securities like bonds, option rights, etc. Other securities are also covered here. So how it will be treated, how capital gain will be computed under this kind of situation. Here, company is buying its own shares. This concept is called as buyback of shares. Okay, if you read this particular section, here also you can see very small section, right? Where a shareholder or holder of other specified securities receives any consideration from any company for purchase of its own shares. That means company is purchasing its own shares and paying consideration. So this is buyback of shares. It may be shares or some specified securities. Okay, such shareholder or holder of specified securities, then subject to provisions of section 45. The difference between the cost of acquisition, cost of consideration received by the shareholder, as the case may be, shall be deemed to the capital gain. So how capital gain will be computed? I'll be explaining you that concept. Okay, I'm again sharing the right now going to share the PPT with you. Related section is section 46A. Now here we'll see. Let us go through this provision. Any consideration received by holder of a specified securities. When I talk about specified securities, I am meaning other than shares. Okay, so here first part is that in case of specified securities, other than shares. So if some consideration is received by the holder of specified securities from the company, let us say company is buying back, maybe debentures, company is buying back that thing, and compensation is received from any company, then it is chargeable to tax in the hands of holder. That means not in the hands of company. It's chargeable to capital gain tax in the hands of the holder. The difference between cost of acquisition and value of consideration. So whatever money is paid by the company, that is value of consideration. So minus cost of acquisition. If cost of acquisition is less, then there will be capital gain. Otherwise, there will be capital loss. Okay. So the Difference between cost of acquisition and value of consideration is chargeable to tax as capital gain. Okay, it will chargeable to tax as capital gain in the hands of the holder. Okay, and once you know it is chargeable, then capital gains shall be computed in accordance with the provisions of section 48. And when it is chargeable, it shall be chargeable in the year in which the securities was purchased by the company. When the company has acquired those securities, the company or say company has bought back those securities in that year, it will be chargeable to capital gain tax. Okay, so there is an explanation. It says the specified securities includes employee stock option or ESOPs are also specified securities. Other securities as may be specified central government, they are also specified securities. And as far as this section is concerned, you see it talks about securities other than shares. The provision is attracted in the hands of shareholder only if the shareholders are bought back if the shares are bought back by the company other than domestic company. That means this provision is also applicable to foreign companies, to companies which are other than domestic company. In case they are acquiring shares also, this particular section is applicable. That means capital gain tax will be there in case of acquisition of shares by a company other than domestic company. I think you have understood this concept. That means it is taxable in the hands of shareholder or the holder of specified security. Okay. Now, what will happen in case shares are acquired? First case we have seen this is the acquisition of securities other than shares. But now we'll see if shares are acquired. That means company is acquiring shares. In case of buyback of shares. Okay, buyback of shares now I have understood. The shares may be listed shares or maybe unlisted shares also. But here we are talking about shares of the domestic company. So in case a company is buying back shares and it's a domestic company, then additional income tax at the rate of 2% plus surcharge 12% plus cess 4% is leviable in the hands of company. That means if shares are transferred or shares are, let us say, bought back, company is buying back shares, not other securities, then who will pay tax? It's the company, not the holders. Okay. Previous slide we have seen that in case of specified securities, it is the holder who will be paying capital gain tax. But in case of shares, not the holder who will be paying tax. It is the company who will be paying tax, and at what rate? 20% plus 12% surcharge plus cess 4%. It will come 23 point something. Some percent will become. So that much of tax company will pay, and since company is paying that same tax, that is same income is exempted in the hands of the shareholders. Shareholders are exempted under section 1034A. 1034A says this is not an this is exempted income for the shareholders. So shareholders are exempted here, but who is paying tax? Company is paying tax. But in the previous situation, company was not paying tax. It's the shareholder who was paying the tax. If it is securities other than shares, or if it is other than domestic company. If other than domestic company, again shareholders will pay. Company will not pay. But here, in case of domestic company, it is and the two share buying back, then company will be paying tax. Shareholder will not be paying tax. Okay. You may be little bit confused. I understand. Small sections, but still confusions are there. So to understand both the things, both the aspects of section 46A. So this we'll go through this table which summarizes both the provisions. Okay. So first you see, can you read it? Buyback of shares by domestic company. If shares are bought back by domestic company, then what will happen? Company will pay tax at the rate of 23.296%. That is 20% plus 12% surcharge plus 4% health and education. Okay, additional income tax company will pay, but it is exempt for the shareholders. Okay, buyback of shares by domestic company. Company will pay tax, for shareholders. It's exempt. Now, buyback of shares by a company other than domestic company. If it is other than domestic company, then company will not pay, shareholders will pay capital gain tax. Okay. And third case, if it is buying back of specified securities, then also company will not pay, shareholders will pay capital gain tax. Did you understand? In which situation the tax liability lies with whom under section 46A is described in this particular table. Is it clear to you? After this, is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear to you? Yeah, all of you have understood up to this. Okay. So friends, if I summarize at this stage up to this, or various sessions we have taken on capital gain, what we've covered, we have understood what is capital asset, what is long-term capital asset, what is short-term capital asset, what is long-term capital gain, what is short-term capital gain, then what is transfer, what is not regarded as transfer. Then we understood the concept of year of chargeability. Then right now we are understanding this thing, completion, liquidation, distribution of assets on liquidation. Okay, section 46. Then also you completed section 46A, which is about buying back of shares or buying back of other securities. So many things we have covered so far. Next section is sequence wise. If you go, that is section 47. 47 talks about transactions which are not regarded as transfer, but we have already covered it along with transfer. So next we'll be coming to section 48, which talks about mode of chargeability. Okay, how capital gain will be chargeable to tax. But I will show you, before that I will take you to the income tax department website. I will show you how section 48 looks like. Let us see it, then we'll be learning that concept. Which section I told you? Have you remember? 48. So as you can read, can you tell me what is the title of this section? Section 48. Can you read it here? It's visible. It talks about mode of computation. Now, if I click here, you see this is the provision. Little bigger section. Okay, it talks about how it will be, capital gain will be chargeable to tax. If you read, it talks about capital gain shall be computed by deducting from full value of consideration received or accruing as a result of transfer of capital asset the following amounts. That means the following two amounts will be deducted. That is expenditure incurred wholly and exclusively in connection with transfer. Then cost of acquisition or cost of improvement there. So these two things has to be deducted from the consideration. Then we'll be able to compute capital gain. Okay. Then certain provisions are there. I will be explaining all these things in detail. Okay. Again, you see there is a concept of indexed cost of acquisition or indexed cost of improvement. So cost of acquisition and cost of improvement may be increased through a process called as indexation process. But that is applicable in case of long-term capital gain. Now we are in the position to understand what is understand this mode of computation. I am taking you to the slides once again. If up to this it is clear, then we can enter into the next area, which is mode of computation. Section 48, you have already seen that. Okay, now you read section 48, what I showed you. The income chargeable under the head capital gain shall be computed by deducting the following items from the full value of consideration. So what is important here, first of all, we need to know what is full value of consideration. That concept will be understand. We have to understand that. Once we know the full value of consideration, then the following two items has to be deducted to compute capital gain. Item number one, expenditure incurred wholly or exclusively in connection with such transfer. Okay, if there is certain expenditure which is wholly entirely for the purpose of that transfer. Let us say you are transferring a capital asset, you are paying commission. Then it is wholly for that thing. It is exclusively for transfer. So that money will be deducted. Secondly, what is to be deducted? Second point, if you see, it has got again two components. One is cost of acquisition, second is cost of improvement. So cost of acquisition, when the asset is acquired, that cost shall be deducted. And improvement, if certain, let us say you have purchased a land, you are acquired it. So you have purchased by paying something, but you have caused some improvements. Certain improvements means, let us say you have developed that land. So land has been improved. Is it not? So when it is improved, that improvement cost shall also be deducted. But here, one point you have to remember, that security transaction tax, that means when the securities are transport, shares, bonds, etc., transport. So security transactions tax is paid. That money will not be deducted. No deduction of security transaction tax. Okay. So in fact, now if you analyze, there are three things has to be deducted from the full value of consideration. Full value of consideration minus expenditure incurred wholly and exclusively for the purpose of transfer. Next is cost of acquisition. And one more thing is that cost of improvement. So this is the deduction. And in case of long-term capital gain, you have to keep in the mind, instead of cost of acquisition and cost of improvement, it can be indexed cost of acquisition or indexed cost of improvement in certain situations. Okay, so that concept will be learned. When you say indexed, indexed means the value or the amount of cost of acquisition will be increased. Okay, at a by multiplying it with a particular factor. How the factor will be computed, that will be learning in our next session. For that thing, we have to know the cost of inflation index. So that concept also will be understanding what is cost of inflation index. Then we'll be seeing how to multiply it and how to compute this index cost of acquisition and index cost of improvement. Friends, is it clear to you up to this? Yes or no? Is it clear to you? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any query you have? Do you have any query up to this? Hope there is no query.
No,
Thank
sir.
you.
No
Okay.
question.
Okay. Okay. Then thank you.